Canada finally delivers. Why Ukraine's new NASAMS was worth the wait. Oh, Canada, America's soon-to-be 51st U.S. state. Canadians, please allow me to be the first to welcome you as new citizens of the United States of America. There are a couple of housekeeping items we'll want to discuss as we complete your onboarding. First, please ensure your politics are either extreme right or extreme left, and extra divisive. There's no room for middle ground losers down here. Also, if you're over 40, please start getting all your news from Facebook or X, and under 40 from TikTok or Blue Sky. Finally, you should be receiving your complimentary AR-15 in the mail, along with an introductory offer of 500 rounds of ammunition for home defense. I'm willing to forgive your hostilities against the states in the War of 1812. Water under the bridge as far as I'm concerned. Welcome to the family. Canada's much anticipated NASAMS delivery to Ukraine has finally arrived. Nearly 2 years after it was promised, the $289 million US-made air defense system, paid for in early 2023, finally landed on Ukrainian soil in late November. Hey friends, Wes here, multi-branch veteran and big fan of Johnny Canuck. Subscribe if you believe that Canada should remain a sovereign nation. So, what was the reason for the NASAMS delay to Ukraine? Well, Ottawa says undisclosed, but let's be honest here. They're just being polite, as Canadians are known to be. The Edmonton Journal reported that the deal hit a roadblock because the United States was still working to secure the funds needed to finalize contracts with the system's manufacturer, Koenigsberg Defence and Aerospace. Canadian Minister of National Defence Bill Blair didn't sugarcoat the situation. Quote, "The Americans have to secure the funding in order to finalize the contracts," end quote, Blair said, pointing out that Canada didn't piggyback on a pre-existing procurement deal. Translation? No shortcuts, no express lane. Blair added that without an expedited process, the formal timeline for acquiring NASAMS could stretch into years. While everyone agrees the project is critical, Ukraine included, the path to delivery remained mired in red tape for almost 2 years. Quote, "We've tried to expedite that," Blair noted, acknowledging the frustration on all sides. Unfortunately, the Americans ran into some challenges in their own funding envelope, end quote. For a defense system designed to intercept high-speed missiles, it's ironic that its journey to Ukraine has been slower than a Canadian moose in winter. The initial announcement of Canada's NASAMS purchase came back in January of 2023. At the time, no specific delivery timeline was provided. But defense experts speculated that because the systems were being built from scratch by Raytheon Technologies, manufacturing bottlenecks were almost inevitable. But that doesn't make the wait any less painful for Ukraine, which is counting on NASAMS to protect its cities from Russian missile and drone strikes. With Russia firing missiles like they're in a dystopian fireworks competition, Ukraine desperately needed this ground-based system to shore up its air defenses. And while Canada played its part, the NASAMS delivery was one of many contributions in a year, 2024, that saw the Great White North flex its military donor muscles. But what is the NASAMS, and would it help Ukraine protect its cities? Well, NASAMS stands for National Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile System, sometimes known as the Norwegian Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile System, because it was co-developed by Koenigsberg Defence and Aerospace and Raytheon. The big difference between the Patriot and the NASAMS is the Patriot has a longer range. The PAC-2 Patriot has a range of 160 kilometers, while the NASAMS is a short-range bugger only able to reach about 30 kilometers. It originally fired the AIM-120 AMRAAM Advanced Medium Range Air-to-Air Missile, but newer versions, the 2019 NASAMS 3 is the latest upgrade, are capable of using Link 16, a military tactical data link network used by NATO members and other nations, as well as fire the newer AIM-9X Sidewinder and the AMRAAM ER extended range missiles. NASAMS is fully interoperable with Patriot to create a mesh air defense network. Fun fact, the US has numerous NASAMS and several ANTWQ-1 Avengers hidden on rooftops around Washington, D.C. to protect the White House and other infrastructure in the Federal Triangle. I think about that every time I fly into Reagan National Airport. Canada has been a steadfast supporter of Ukraine, committing a staggering 4.5 billion Canadian dollars in military aid since February of 2022. In 2024, they doubled down with fresh donations, including multi-role boats, armored vehicles, and a cache of ammunition that would make Rambo jealous. Notably, Canada also joined a series of military capability coalitions, teaming up with allies to address battlefield priorities like air defense, armored warfare, and drones. One standout contribution: over 900 Skyranger R-70 drones, a versatile unmanned system that Ukraine has already begun deploying with devastating effectiveness. Actually, the Skyranger drone probably deserves its own video. These little tech wonders are part of Canada's growing interest in drone warfare, which, let's face it, is quickly becoming the backbone of modern conflict. And if you're wondering whether Canada's involvement stops at hardware, think again. The Royal Canadian Air Force has transported nearly 22 million pounds of military aid to Ukraine, while over 350 Canadian Armed Forces personnel are training Ukrainian soldiers across Europe. To date, Canada has helped train 43,000 troops, a number that would fill several hockey arenas. The country has also donated 300 air defense missiles from the Canadian Armed Forces since 2022. When Ukraine's allies started delivering F-16 fighter jets in 2024, Canada lent its expertise to the effort. While they didn't donate jets directly, because they have none, Canada played a critical support role through the F-16 Training Coalition. Montreal-based Top Aces Inc. provided civilian instructors and planes, helping Ukraine fast-track its pilots into the modern age of aerial warfare. Add to that Canada's 60 million Canadian dollar contribution to the Air Force Capability Coalition, and it's clear that this northern powerhouse knows how to assist from behind the scenes. In August of 2024, Ukraine's audacious offensive in Russia's Kursk Oblast made headlines, sparking hand-wringing among Western allies about using donated weapons inside Russian territory. Canada didn't flinch. It explicitly backed Ukraine's right to use Canadian donated tanks and armored vehicles wherever they saw fit, inside or outside Ukraine's borders. On the sanctions front, Canada cracked down hard on Russia's military-industrial complex, expanding its blacklist to include organizations supplying technology to Putin's war machine. This move followed embarrassing reports that Canadian-made electronic components were discovered in Russian weaponry. Lesson learned: sanctions need teeth, not loopholes. As an American, it's tempting to affectionately poke fun at Canada, our polite maple syrup-loving neighbor who calls their version of bacon Canadian bacon like it's a national treasure. But jokes aside, Canada's support for Ukraine has been nothing short of heroic. Sure, the NASAMS delivery was late, and there were some hiccups with sanctions enforcement, but Canada consistently punches above its weight on the global stage. In 2024 alone, they allocated 53 million Canadian dollars for NATO caliber ammunition, 76 million Canadian dollars for air defense initiatives, and another 356 million Canadian dollars at the NATO summit. That's not small change, especially for a country often overshadowed by its rowdy downstairs flatmate. And while we Americans may love ribbing Canada for their endless politeness and obsession with Tim Hortons, their unwavering support for Ukraine reminds us why they're one of our most reliable allies. Also, can we talk about Tim Hortons for a second? I live in Michigan, which is practically Canada. We got a new Tim Hortons downtown recently, so I went there and asked for a dozen donut holes and a coffee. The polite staff member behind the counter then said to me, sir, we don't have donut holes. We call them Timbits. Sir, they come in counts of 10. I immediately thought of my arch nemesis, the metric system, and its damnable fascination with nice round numbers. Oh, Canada. As Ukraine continues to hold its ground against Russia, the role of allies like Canada will only grow more critical. Joint military production with Ukraine, akin to Denmark's financing model, could open up new opportunities for faster weapons delivery. Canada has already shown an interest in Ukrainian drone technologies, and expanding that collaboration could yield breakthroughs that benefit both nations. If there's one takeaway from Canada's military support, it's this: being nice doesn't mean you can't pack a punch. Whether it's sending NASAMS drones or funding F-16 pilots, Canada has proven that even the friendliest nations can bring serious firepower when the stakes are high. And for Ukraine, every piece of Canadian aid is another step closer to victory. So here's to Canada, the quiet powerhouse of military aid and a true ally in the fight for freedom. And if you're ever late delivering another NASAMS Canada, just blame the weather or the US. We'll all believe you. That's it for today, friends. Subscribe if you're not already, because it really helps the channel grow. And as always, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Slava Ukraini.